Online, online, Hello, is it audible? The agreement was signed on 24/7/2025. Jonathan Reynolds, Jonathan, Jonathan Reynolds, Reynold, who is the Secretary of State, Business and Trade. On behalf of India, the Honorable Minister, Piyush Goyal, Goyal, Goyal. You see, the agreement was signed in 2025, but we are talking today. Why? The agreement came into effect only on 15/7/2026. And the news appeared a few days back in the newspaper. That is why we are discussing. There are two parts in the agreement. Number one, CETA, Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. Two, DCC, Double Contribution Convention. அதிலே கண்டினியூ பண்ணுங்க. For economic integration between India and the UK. What are the key highlights of CETA? First heading, CETA, key highlights. Number one, comprehensive scope. The agreement has 30 chapters, 30 chapters. It extends beyond conventional tariff liberalization. All of us know that every country levies tariffs for import and export. So there is tariff liberalization to cover digital trade, government procurement, small and medium enterprises, SME, innovation, labor, environment, and gender. Point number 2, mitigation of non-tariff barriers. Non-tariff barriers. It addresses sanitary and phytosanitary measures and technical barriers to trade. So that NTB, that is non-tariff barriers, do not become unjustified trade restrictions. Agricultural graduates may know that sanitary and phytosanitary measures. Have you heard of quarantine measures? Quarantine. Agri-biotechnology vandada quarantine measures. Whenever we export or import plant materials or seeds, there are quarantine measures. Supposing the seeds reach the other country, in the airport or in the harbors, the country will have the quarantine measures. They will inspect and verify whether the seeds or plant materials are infected with diseases, disease-causing organisms, or infested with insects. Infestation with insects, infection by bacteria and fungi. So these are the sanitary and phytosanitary measures that are given by the importing country or exporting country. So these measures should not hamper the trade practices. That is the meaning of this mitigation of non-tariff barriers. Third point, sectoral collaboration. The agreement provides a strong platform for collaboration in financial and professional services. Insurance, fintech, 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 infrastructure investment. So there should be some beneficiaries, We have entered into agreement with the UK. Who will be the beneficiaries? Next, fourth point is beneficiaries. Indian farmers, fisher folk, workers, women entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs spelling தெரியுங்களா? Entrepreneurs. Continue in continuation. Tariff liberalization. You put 3 headings. Row. Future, UK commitments. Next column, India commitments. Under future, number 1, immediate. Under UK commitments, 96.8% of tariff lines. Under India commitments, 30.3% of trade value. Second point under future, phased elimination. Under UK commitment, not applicable. Under India commitments, an additional 47% of tariffs will be eliminated in a phased manner. Third point, quote-based reductions. Quotation. Under UK commitment, 2% of tariff lines. Within bracket, 1.8% of trade value. Correspondingly, 12.1% of trade value under India commitments. Total coverage. Fourth point. Under UK commitments, 98.8% of tariff lines and 99.5% of trade value. Under India column, 89.5% of tariff lines. Trade value, 89.4%. How do we get protection of sensitive sectors of India under the trade agreement? Protection of sensitive sectors of India. Shielding specific sensitive sectors from the tariff eliminations. Shielding specific sensitive sectors from the tariff elimination. Example, agricultural products. What are the products? Dairy, cereals. Somebody will pronounce as cereals. Agricultural graduates know cereals. 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 Pulses. Vegetables. Another one is manufacturing goods. Gold and jewelry. Under that, gold and jewelry, smartphones, critical polymers. Next one is DCC. Key highlights of DCC. You have already written double contribution convention. The critical point under this topic is, supposing a company is there in London and the company has been floated by India, the company will employ the laborers. There, the employees will be covered under insurance scheme. For insurance scheme, the company or the employees, a part of the salary will be deducted towards insurance scheme. There should not be double contribution. To prevent that double contribution, this particular agreement helps. How? First point, the issue of sunk cost, SUNK, sunk cost. All of us know that in economics, we study about working capital, permanent investment capital, the investment capital. It is a long-term capital investment. We invest on plant and machinery for creating permanent assets. So the investment goes for the creation of long-term assets. The cost invested on the long-term asset is also called sunk cost, for which we won't calculate interest. We will take into account only the return on investment. So here the concept of sunk cost comes. That is why I have explained that. So what is its relevance to this topic? Indian employees and employers contributed roughly 25% of their salary to whom? To the UK's national insurance system. What is the drawback? There will be temporary employees and also permanent employees. The insurance contribution will be useful only for the permanent long-term employees. Supposing daily wage employees are working in the company, this contribution will not be useful or helpful to them. That is why this agreement is useful. What is the drawback? Short-term workers would not draw benefits. It means short-term workers will not derive the insurance benefits because they will be working for 1 week, 15 days, or 1 month, or half a year. They will not get the insurance benefits. That is why it is called the issue of sunk cost. That is, the insurance contributions were like taxes or sunk cost. This particular agreement eliminates this process. You see how it is eliminated? Next point, BR2. You can put as you like. The solution for this sunk cost. Exemption to employees and the employers from social security contributions for 5 years. When it is applicable, there is a condition. When provided in India. The company is in London, but the contribution is made in India. If the contribution is made in India, then only the exemption comes into existence or action. Next point, significance. The agreement is labeled a game changer. for India's service sector and skilled workforce. So, which we can designate as service sectors: hospitals, service sector; hotel industries, service sector. Who are the skilled workforce? Electricians, skilled workforce; plumbers, skilled workforce. When they are employed in the company, they get the benefits. Next point, impact. The DCC directly benefits 75,000 Indian workers. And 900 employers in the UK. So this completes the India-UK trade agreement. Another topic is India Water Treaty, Indus Water Treaty. Indus Water Treaty. Why should we talk about this treaty today? There was some news about that. That's why we are talking. The incident took place in 2025, but we are talking about a Indus Water Treaty today, since it appeared in the newspapers as current affairs. Overview and river distribution. The Indus Water Treaty was signed on 1/4/1960. After partition, the World Bank itself came forward, discussed with India and Pakistan, negotiated and brokered for getting into the agreement. Who are the signatories? Our Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, and the President of Pakistan, Muhammad Ayub Khan. What is the purpose of the Indus Water Treaty? Equitable distribution of water. For agriculture, domestic, and industrial uses. As per this agreement, how the rivers were allocated? River allocation. Western rivers: Indus, Jhelum, Zenab. We have studied Jhelum, Zenab, Ravi, Bias, Sutlej. So these three: Indus, Jhelum, Zenab. Western rivers, they were allocated to Pakistan for unrestricted use. Eastern rivers: Ravi, Bias, Sutlej, were allocated to India for unrestricted use. Subheading: Key features of the treaty. Number 1, Permanent Indus Commission. Under that commission, we have bilateral commission, Pakistan commission, one Pakistan commissioner, another person, Indian commissioner. Meaning, Permanent Indus Commission consists of bilateral negotiation with a Pakistan commissioner and an Indian commissioner. So what should they do? There should be an annual meeting. What is the purpose of the meeting? It is a mechanism for cooperation and data exchange. Next point, data exchange. It is mandatory and compulsory on river water usage. Next point, future cooperation. Cooperation in hydroelectric observation. Continue with stations, observation stations, and preservation of river. Drainage works. Next point, hydroelectric allowances. India is permitted to construct run of the river hydroelectric facilities. On the western rivers. As per design specification. Detailed in the treaty. Neither Pakistan nor India should violate the specification or design specified in the treaty, detailed treaty. After the key features, next topic. 3, we also tell tier or tier, TIER. 3-tier dispute resolution mechanism. So first tier, level 1. We have already seen the commission, Under that commission, there will be diplomatic speech or discussion. Diplomatic discussion. That is level 1. Level 2, the differences. Will be solved by the neutral expert appointed by the World Bank. Level 3, dispute. To binding arbitration. To an ad hoc. Ad hoc. Court of arbitration. Ad hoc court of arbitration. What are the major hydroelectric projects by India? One, Sawalkot. SAWALKOTE. 2, PAKAL, Pagal Dul, TDUL, Dul. This particular project will be commissioned in 2026 year end. Next project, RATLE. We can pronounce like Ratley or Ratley. Next one, KIRU, Kiru. This will also be commissioned in the year end, 2026. Another one, KWAR, Quar. The last one, Dulhasti, DULHASTI. These are the hydroelectric projects. The hydroelectric projects should generate idle power. How much they should produce? What is the estimated production of electricity? 5,300 megawatt. So there are two types of implications. Implications on the part of India will be there. Implications on the part of Pakistan will be there. First, we will take up implications of India's stance, STANCE. Number one, shift in water diplomacy. You see, we get or receive rains naturally. The rains flow as canals or channels or rivulets, gullies, or big rivers. Lastly, the water reaches the seas and oceans. So we may say it is a nature's gift or God's gift. Nobody has the right to prevent the water supply to anybody else. But we have taken a wrong decision because of the Pahalgam attack. It is a human rights violation. It should not have been done by our leaders or the ruling persons. It is not a fair decision. So, what has taken place under this point? Shift in water diplomacy, weaponization of water. As a strategic tool. To penalize cross-border terrorism. What India has done, India has suspended the operation of the Indus Water Treaty. Within bracket, aligning with the doctrine means principle, doctrine of blood and water cannot flow together. I am telling my opinion. In my opinion, India did not provide adequate protection or sent the troops to Pahalgam area when the tourist visited that tourist spot. So it was the failure on the part of our country, that is our leaders. They did not take adequate measures to protect the tourists and interest of the citizens connected with the tourist spot. This is the failure on their part. They should have taken precautionary measures, sent the troops to the Pahalgam area and watch whether the terrorists intruded into our borders, into our country, into our territory. They should have done this. but they have failed. It means there was some election during that month and year 2025. Whenever there is an election, this type of actions take place. Bagalgam action. What is another action? After which the state was divided into two parts as union territories. Everything is connected with some election. It is the failure. This is my opinion. Next implication. International law and treaties. The development invokes the Vienna Convention. On the law of treaties. Dash. It is otherwise called a principle of REBUS. Rebus. Next word, SIC. Next word, STANTIBUS. Stantibus. That is fundamental change of circumstances. The meaning for those words. Fundamental change of circumstances. You put brackets. Fundamental change of circumstances. Continue. That allows a state to withdraw from a treaty. Next implication. Geopolitical ripple, RIPPLE, effects. India's bold move sets a robust tone. ROBUST, robust tone for India's handling of trans-boundary rivers. And riparian, RIPARIAN, riparian rights on the global stage. According to me, it is not a bold move because who are Pakistanis? They are also human beings. They should get drinking water. They should cultivate their crops for food purposes. They should also do their businesses or manufacture the materials through their manufacturing industrial units and factories. So adequate water is required. According to me, it is not a bold step. Next heading, way forward. Number one, optimization. That is optimization of the usage of eastern rivers called Ravi, Beas, Sutlej, since we have free rights. Next point, maximization of permissible infrastructure developments. As per the treaty, we have the rights to set up the hydroelectric projects on the western flowing rivers, that is used by Pakistan. For that point only, maximization of permissible infrastructure developments. That is, we can set up on the river banks of Indus, Zeelam, and Zana. Third point, continued investment on water storage and border infrastructure. From major hydroelectric projects, you put it as point number 2, Roman letter 2. Agalya. We have started with major hydroelectric projects, and ended with continued investment. So that paragraph, you put it as Roman letter 2. This follows the first part of Roman letter 2. From this page, you continue with the Roman letter 2, but the points which I will tell forms the first part of Roman letter 2. The context of Indus Water Treaty. the treaty will not remain operational in its present form. And requires review and renegotiation. That is, Indus Water Treaty requires review and renegotiation. Why? The play comes here. In April 2025, Pahalgam terror attack was there. Pahalgam. Pahalgam. What we did on our part, citing Pakistan's continuous sponsorship of cross-border terrorism. Because of this attack only, the first point arises. That is, it will not remain operational in its present form and requires review and renegotiation. Next heading, key highlights from the recent development. Number one, breach of goodwill. Why should we talk about goodwill? The treaty itself gives this point. Preamble of the IWT is based on mutual goodwill. The terrorism is a fundamental breach of this goodwill. Making it untenable, TENABLE, for India to remain compelled by a treaty that acts against its sovereign interests. We say that the terrorism is against the treaty. That is why we want to renew or review or renegotiate the treaty, the various points in the Indus Water Treaty. Second point, climate change factor. I can say it is not a true factor. There was an attack that we know, everybody knows, the world knows. Climate change factor. Current form doesn't serve our interest. Due to multiple factors. Especially climate change resulting in reduced volume of water. Flow in the eastern rivers of the Indus system. In fact, we didn't get adequate rains in Tamil Nadu. There is no water flow from Karnataka to Hoganekal to Mettur Dam. We are starving for water. The delta farmers did not cultivate paddy this year. Samba crop will be cultivated, This year, there won't be any Samba crop. But whenever there is a southwest monsoon, if the southwest monsoon starts in Lakshadweep, it comes to Kerala. Next, the monsoon hits only northern parts of our country. First, eastern parts, then central north, then Indus Valley. The Indus rivers get adequate rain. There is always adequate water flow in the rivers. So this factor is not a real factor. Pakistan, next point, Pakistan's utilization. This is the third factor. That is, Pakistan did not utilize the Indus water properly, adequately. This is one of the blaming points. But it is also partly true. How? For last 76 years, Pakistan didn't build adequate storages. It means dams were not constructed by Pakistan. 50% of the water, 50% of the water received by Pakistan flow into the ocean. These are the grounds that we put forth after the terrorism to renegotiate the treaty, to renew the treaty. Next point, right to terminate. Theoretically speaking, India has the right to terminate the treaty. Why the word theoretically has been included here? It is not as per the convention or the international law. As per law, we cannot stop the river flow or water flow or stop the water flow. Only theoretically we can stop. Next point, no precedent, Precedent, for China. There is some difference. We have the Indus Water Treaty Agreement. Based on the negotiation by the World Bank, both the countries entered into agreement and signed the agreement. Whereas in the northeastern states, we do not have any agreement with China. The water naturally flows from the Himalayas to our areas, to our states. So this cannot be a precedent for China. If we terminate Indus Water Treaty, China may block. China may block the water flow from Brahmaputra. Despite having no treaty. These 2 pages which we have already done, they form the second part of Indus Water Treaty. Now we shall go to first part. Please write down on the next page. You put it as first part of IWT. So when you start studying for the current affairs, you go via this. First part, second. Number 1, overview and this we have written. Overview and river distribution from this point up to 3-tier dispute resolution mechanism. Up to that point, you put it as first part. You go to that page. Overview and river distribution. World Bank brokered. It starts with that and ends with a 3-tier dispute resolution mechanism. So first part again starts. Which I have omitted. After the 3-tier system, it starts with point number 3, legal framework and limitations. A, perpetual nature. If any two countries enter into agreement on the water sharing of any rivers, the treaty is perpetual, permanent in nature. According to this point, India has no right to terminate the treaty. You see, as per the agreement, it is perpetual in nature. How? Permanent agreement under perpetual nature, permanent agreement no exit clause, CLAUSE, no expiration date. The agreement will never expire. Any one of the countries cannot exit the agreement. Under the same perpetual nature, next point, it cannot be unilaterally terminated. The agreement cannot be unilaterally terminated. You see, these 4 points are binding on both the countries. Neither Pakistan does neither Pakistan nor India terminate the agreement. So whatever we have done in India is against this perpetual nature of the Indus Water Treaty. B. Modifications. Any amendment or revision can be done with mutual consent. It means there cannot be unilateral modification of the treaty. Next point, enforcement limitation. Under that, if India suspends or revokes the dispute resolution mechanism, becomes moot, MOOT. You see, as per the legal framework, the dispute mechanism, the dispute resolution mechanism becomes active. They can come forward to resolve the dispute. They need not keep quiet. Under the enforcement limitation, Pakistan cannot approach the International Court of Justice due to India's reservations. Under the ICJ statute, அதுதானே ஆக்ட் வரும். ஸ்பெல்லிங் மாறி போனா வந்து பொம்மையா மாறிடும் இல்லையா? ஸ்டாட்யூட். We have the 3-tier resolution mechanism. So any one of the countries need not approach the International Court of Justice. Fourth subheading, ongoing disputes. A. Kishan Ganga, KI SHEN, Ganga, and Ratle projects, RATLE projects. Where is Kishan Ganga project? On the Zeelam tributary. Where is Ratle project? On the Zenob river. B. Pakistan's stance. STANC. That is, what does Pakistan say about the dispute? Pakistan says that India has violated the technical designs for western rivers. We have seen one point, we must adhere to the design detailed in the treaty, That point is argued by Pakistan here. Pakistan's stand is India violates the technical designs for western rivers to establish hydroelectric projects. That is why Pakistan prevents India not to further develop or continue the projects. C. Recent development under the ongoing disputes. Now World Bank has entered. The World Bank appointed both a neutral expert and court of arbitration in 2022. This is level 2, I think, where the World Bank enters. Level 2 under the dispute mechanism tiers. D. India's demand. What does India demand? Year 2023-24. India issued a formal notice to amend the outdated treaty. Citing CITING, citing climate change. National development. Pakistan's alleged persistent obstruction. These are the points raised by India. What did Pakistan do for this notice? Pakistan rejected this notice. We have already seen any modification, if brought in or brought out, it should be as per the mutual consent. Here, India did not consult Pakistan. Its suo motu served the notice to Pakistan. So Pakistan has the right to reject the notice. Next subheading. Post Pahalgam attack. Within bracket 2025. Continue. Treaty suspension. When was the Pahalgam attack? April 2025. What did we do? Suspension of treaty obligation. Suspension of treaty obligations. Linking water policy to TO. Policy 2. A. National security. B. Cross-border terrorism. Sharing water cannot be a national security issue, whereas cross-border terrorism can be an issue, national security issue. What are the implications for Pakistan? Point number 1, severe water crisis. Why? Pakistan depends on the river water. How much percentage? 80%. For agriculture purpose, 68% of the rural population depends on river water for production, agriculture, cultivation. What is the GDP dependent on agriculture with reference to Pakistan? 23%. Have we really stopped water flow from our country to Pakistan? We cannot control the flow. It is natural. In a day or night, we cannot construct a dam and stop the water flow. Next point, implications for Pakistan. Urban supply and storage. What are the urban areas affected in Pakistan? Karachi, Lahore. The citizens of those cities faced acute water shortage. What are the dams connected with these urban areas? MANGLA, Mangla or Mangla. TA or BELA, Terbela. These dams can hold only 10% of the water that flows from the rivers. What are the implications for India? A. enhanced control. Under that point, complete flexibility in using Xylem, Xenop, and the Indus. B. Hydropower and storage. India is free to generate hydropower and store more water. C. Data withholding. As per the treaty, both the countries should share the data. Here what we did, we withheld the data. Data withholding. That is, India need not share data due to the suspension of the treaty. Sharing data is withheld. Next point, suspension of site visit for Pakistan's officials. Point D, short-term limitation. As I have told you, we cannot construct dams or check dams and prevent water flow, that is the point. We cannot completely stop the river water flow. Conclusion. The waters of the Indus, once a symbol of cooperation, now stand at the heart of an emerging conflict where blood and water cannot flow together. So we have completed the 2 topics on current affairs. We may get the questions in the preliminary examination, or this year the candidates giving the main examination may get the questions on these topics. If the same news continues in 2027, you may also get the questions on the 2 topics. Shall we see the books? இது 2 பேரும் பார்க்குறீங்களா? நீங்க 2 பேரும் இது பார்க்குறீங்களா? நீங்களும் வந்துடுறீங்களா? இது வந்து பொலிட்டிக்கல் சயின்ஸ் அண்ட் இன்டர்நேஷனல் ரிலேஷன்ஸ். இது சோஷியாலஜி. பக்கத்தில் வந்துட்டீங்கன்னா பொலிட்டிக்கல் சயின்ஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பார்த்துடலாம், அப்புறம் சோஷியாலஜி பார்க்கலாம். எது பார்க்கலாம்? ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பொலிட்டிக்கல் சயின்ஸ் பார்க்கலாமா? நீங்கள் பொலிட்டிக்கல் சயின்ஸு, சரவணன் பொலிட்டிக்கல் சயின்ஸு, நீங்களும் பொலிட்டிக்கல் சயின்ஸ் எடுக்கலாம். அக்ரி. நீங்களும் பொலிட்டிக்கல் சயின்ஸ் எடுக்கலாம், நீங்களும் பொலிட்டிக்கல் சயின்ஸ் எடுக்கலாம். பொலிட்டிக்கல் சயின்ஸ் வில் பி ஈஸியர் தேன் எனி அதர் சப்ஜெக்ட். பார்த்தீங்கன்னா many of the topics வந்து will be related to general studies. We shall take up one question. They have segregated into chapter wise, I think. நீங்க சஜஸ்ட் பண்ணுங்க பொலிட்டிக்கல் சயின்ஸ்ல எனி ஒன் ஆஃப் த கொஸ்டின்ஸ் எடுத்து சொன்னீங்கன்னா we shall go through that question. You tell me the page number, I will go to that page. சரவணன் அந்த பேக் எடுத்துட்டு நடுவில் உட்காந்துக்கிட்டா வசதியா இருக்கும். சரவணன் சார் வாங்க. சினேகா இதுல கொஸ்டின்ஸ் இருக்கா? சொல்லுங்க. பேஜ் நம்பர் 227. எந்த கொஸ்டின் சொல்லுங்க? இந்தியன் ஃபாரின் பாலிசி, டிட்டர்மினன்ட்ஸ் ஆஃப் ஃபாரின் பாலிசி. அவங்களுக்கு பார்க்கலையா? Would you agree with the contention that India's inclination to lean on a more aggressive, hyper-realist posture has gained a new momentum in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terrorism strike? Comment. What is the difference between comment and comment? Comment, the word comment, the word comment. சொல்லுங்க, யாருன்னா ஒருத்தர் சொல்லுங்க. Comment is the verb, comment is the noun. Here it is comment. Comment imperative sentence. So it talks about Pahalgam attack. Write down the pros and cons of Pahalgam attack. So we should start with the month, year, when the incident took place, where the incident took place, how many persons were affected, have the terrorists been caught hold or arrested, were the terrorists killed or shot down. Whatever you want to write, you can write down as points. So the paragraph, the answer should start with introduction of the question. First, we should introduce the question, what has been asked in the question. You see, would you agree with the contention that India's inclination to lean on a more aggressive, hyper-realistic posture? What did we do? We undertook precision attack on the training area of terrorists in Pakistan. Do you agree with that action? That is the aggressive action we undertook. First, you should say, do you agree or not? So our citizens were killed in the Pahalgam. Why our people went there? The citizens of our India, citizens of our country, went there as tourists to oversee the tourist spot and enjoy with their family members. So the terrorists intruded into the Pahalgam tourist spot. They scrupulously, what did they do? Shot down the tourists. How many tourists were killed or murdered? If we know the number, we can write down that number. April 2025. So we shall go through the answer, what the author has written. Dealing with Pakistan has always been a matter of debate. Whenever we talk about Pakistan, we debate. It is a debate among the citizens of India or the political persons of our country. Since Indian independence. So it started with Indian independence, 15th August 1947. After 15th August, the partition, before independence partition was there. Partition of India as Pakistan and India. The matter was further complicated with the accusation of nuclear weapons by Indian neighbor. Next paragraph. Notably, India did not do anything militarily after the 2008 terrorist attack. You see, the person who has given the answer has not mentioned the place of occurrence of this attack. It is 2008. The response grew to surgical strike, that is precision strike. Surgical strikes in 2016, air strikes in 2019, and a full-blown missile attack inside Pakistan in response to recent Pahalgam incident. This is clear evolution of India's response, correctly characterized as aggressive, hyper-realistic posture. This point is related to the question. Do you agree with that? Lean on a more aggressive, hyper-realistic posture. You see, the person writing this answer gives the various dates or years in which we took the precision strike or surgical strike. Then he comes to the question point that we are more aggressive. We are showing more aggressive posture. This is clear evolution of India's response, correctly characterized as aggressive hyper-realist posture. We can attribute this change to multiple factors. The increased stature of India in global order figures prominently. You analyze this point. The increased stature of India in global order figures prominently. What are the various points that we can attribute for this point? Increased stature of India. Increased stature. Economic development, we can say. In defense also, what is our expenditure? That is allocation of the budgetary amount for a defense purpose. How much percentage of GDP? Then what are the weapons developed by India? We can say BrahMos. That is what he indirectly mentions here. The increased stature of India in global order. Our Prime Minister also has gone around the world and developed good relations with various countries. So it is also increased stature of India. The US hegemony. The US hegemony is on decline. Hegemony na ennaanga சொல்றது? தான் உலகத்தின் தலைவர் இல்லைங்களா? US hegemony is on decline and it needs India in upcoming multipolar order and in managing China. There is also change in Indian approach to foreign policy. A right-wing nationalist government has shook off. The word correctங்களா அந்த இடத்துல? Has shook off னு வருது. Shake, shook, shaken. இல்லைங்களா? Past participle தானே வரணும். Shaken off the title of swing state, maintaining independent decision making. This is also visible in purchasing of Russian oil, India's stand on Ukraine war, etc. Thus, Operation Sindoor symbolizes the new normal and also a watershed moment in Indian foreign policy posture. India has emphatically announced that it will set its own red lines and enforce them, global opinion notwithstanding. இது எத்தனை வேர்ட்ஸ் பாருங்க? 189 வேர்ட்ஸ். ஒவ்வொரு கொஸ்டினுக்கும் வந்து how many words the candidate should write down. That will be specified in the question itself, question paper itself. So next question, which question we shall see? Second question is very elaborate. Second question. Critically analyze the different phases of India's foreign policy since independence. You should mention the various years also for this question. How justified do you think is S. Jayashankar's classification of the current phase as the phase of energetic diplomacy? Whoever may be the Prime Minister or External Affairs Minister, India is always after diplomacy only. India never wants to fight against any country. Please suggest another question. Sai Saravanan. Or question it. Any page. Any page in this book. One 125, 135. Question. The changing socio-economic profile of our legislators does not augur well for the health of Indian democracy. Comment. The changing socio-economic profile. The question does not speak about education. It speaks about the social status and economic status of the persons who are contesting the elections. Though they are socially grown or economically forward or backward, their profile does not augur well for the health of Indian democracy. You see, the question wants us to speak about the social status and the economic status of the legislators or the contestants who have been elected by the voters. It may be positive points or negative points. You can write both pros and cons. We experienced politicians, MLAs, ministers, MPs, central ministers, we come across, we know how they behave with the voters, how they behave with their own kids and kids, how they behave with other people. In the points we can write down. The question does not speak about any theory propounded by any of the scientists, political ideologists. So the answer starts with Parliament is said to be a mirror of the nation. The Parliament reflects the persons elected by the people. And the profile of parliamentarians is said to reflect the society. If the saying is true, the situation in India is beyond unfortunate. You see, the first sentence itself is against the persons elected. Parliament is said to reflect the society if the saying is true. That is, the first sentence is true. The situation in India is beyond unfortunate. In the 18th Lok Sabha, 2024, which year the question was asked? 2019. 2024 present. 46% of MPs have criminal cases registered against them. 31% of total MPs have been accused of serious crimes such as murder, rape, etc. Both the numbers are higher than those in the 17th Lok Sabha. The role of money and muscle power has increased in the elections. It is true to all the states. I have conducted elections in Jharkhand, UP. I went to Andhra. I conducted election in Karnataka. In all these areas, money power and muscle power played the role during elections. Thus, many parliamentarians are from criminal backgrounds. A phenomenon known as the criminalization of Indian politics. Such representatives have a vested interest. What do you mean by vested interest? Vested interest means selfish people, person-oriented people. They are worried about their own well-being only. They are not worried about the well-being of the citizens living near their houses or in their district or state. Such representatives have a vested interest in weak governance. Hence, they try to keep the system that way. Thus, the serious attempts by bureaucrats to improve governance are also curbed. We can say the elected representatives influence the bureaucrats also. In fact, in Tamil Nadu, especially the DMK government prefers only state civil services officers conferred with IAS. Regular recruits won't be given good posts. It means these officers, that is, the conferred IAS officers, are amenable to their own wills and fancies. That is why they prefer the conferred IAS officers and make them sit in key important posts so that they can do whatever they want. This is the meaning for that point. They try to keep the system and that way. Thus, the serious attempts by bureaucrats to improve governance are also curbed. Bureaucrats also align with the elected representatives in many of the states. If one officer is straightforward, another officer should also follow the suit. They should also be straightforward and abide by the acts, rules, and procedures. If all officers come together and act alike, the politicians won't do any mischief. Such representatives have a vested interest in weak governance. The role of money in elections also leads to huge corruption. Our Tamil Nadu is famous for buying the votes. They bribe the voters and buy the votes. Political leaders try to amass as much as possible before the next election. Further, in contemporary times, legislation is also becoming a specialized field. That is, the politicians see the politics as a business. That is the meaning for that sentence. The presence of non-serious candidates only leads to noisy discussions, a wastage of precious time of the house, and a waste of public money. The case where 3 Karnataka ministers were caught seeing objectionable content during a session is perhaps the lowest point in the case. The situation is grim. There is an urgent need for electoral reforms. 229 words. Here, we should also mention about the Lok Ayukta. In Karnataka, the Lok Ayukta is very powerful. They raid even the ministers in Karnataka. This is the living example in our country. The Lok Ayukta members, they order the police to raid the houses of ministers in Karnataka, sitting ministers, not ex-ministers, sitting ministers. They also raid the houses of bureaucrats serving IAS, IPS officers in Karnataka. So that much is the powerful, the Lok Ayukta in Karnataka. Nowhere in the country such a system is in existence. It is a living example. You see, in any one of the sentence, has the author spoken about any theory or scientist or ideologist? It is a general answer. Sneha, you see how the answer is. You can write the answer for any question in political science. Only in the introductory part of the syllabus, there may be some theorists, scientists, whereas all other portions will be like this only. Shall we see one question in sociology? Suggest one question. One nine. Which question? No society can either be absolutely open or absolutely closed. Comment. Nagbala? அடுத்து கிளாஸ் இருக்கா? டெஸ்டா? சரி, இந்த கொஸ்டின்ல என்ன சொல்றாங்க பார்க்கலாமா? No society can either be absolutely open or absolutely closed. Open society, closed society. So it is related to the theory as per the textbook. All societies have some system of social stratification. Stratification of the society. Higher, middle, lower. They are generally categorized as open and closed societies. A closed society is one in which an individual's role and function can theoretically never be changed, as in the traditional Hindu caste system. In an open society, on the other hand, individuals have the opportunity to move up to a higher social class or down to a lower class. So both the societies, the author or the scientist talks about how they are classified, how they mingle or go up or go down. Sorokin believed that there is no society which is completely closed, that is caste system in India, and no society which is completely open, class system. He further contended that no two societies are exactly same in the amount of movement allowed or discouraged. Further, the speed of movement or change may differ from one period of time to another. The rate of change depends upon the level of modernization of a given society. In a society exists a balance which holds on to a, say, fixed hierarchical cooperation between social groups, but it permits different social groups to vie for the same resources through hard work, education, ability, luck, marriage, etc. So their relations are competitive. For this question, you cannot write your own point. You should take the points, words, sentences only from the textbook. So this is sociology. Whereas in political science and international relations, you can write down your own points. In sociology, you have to stick to the textbook. Many of the questions will be like this only. You can also go through, the books will be available here, and choose your optional subjects. Shall we call it a day? Thank you very much.